Hello everyone, it's John from Wild Learning here again. Today we're going to talk about whittling. Whittling is the process of shaping a piece of wood with a knife or another edged tool. Ordinarily, if you're whittling in the bushcraft community, you would use something like this, which I'm sure you will agree is probably hugely inappropriate to learn with at home with your children. So, what I suggest you do, what we do at Wild Learning sessions, is we use one of these, which is a potato peeler. Now, this is much safer than a knife, although it is certainly pointy at the end, so this is an activity that does need supervision. But the great thing about using a potato peeler is, although it's safe and quite difficult to hurt yourself with, it does work exactly like a knife. So it has a handle which you hold in a knife grip, or a variety of knife grips, and it has a blade, and the actual action of cutting is very similar. What you'll also need, of course, is something to whittle. So you're going to need a stick. This is a stick I've just cut out of the hedge in my garden. You're going to need green wood, not wood that you've picked up off the floor. That will be dead and brown, have no sap in it, and it will be extremely hard because all the water will have evaporated. If you look closely at this, where I've accidentally taken a bit of the bark off, you can see it is in fact green at the end. That has just been living, so it will be very easy to work. Now, needless to say, if you're going to cut wood, don't take more than you need, particularly at this time of year when the trees and the flowers are just coming up and starting to come back to life, and don't take anything that doesn't belong to you without permission. So the first thing we need to address now is safety. By which I mean keeping ourselves safe when we're working and keeping the people around us safe, because if you're doing this in the context of your garden or indoors, there will probably be other family members around, so you need to be mindful of that and work in a way that keeps everybody free from harm. The first thing to say is when you are holding the stick that you're going to be working with, you will have the stick in one hand, we call this the off hand, and you will have the potato peeler in another hand, your tool in the other hand. The hand with the stick is what we call the off hand. Now, there's a lot of strong feeling in the forest school community that you must always wear a glove on your off hand, and there is a good deal of sense in this because it does prevent you making an accidental cut onto the hand that's holding the piece of wood you're working on. However, having done this for a long time, I have seen so many children wearing badly fitting gloves that actually prevent them holding the wood securely, that actually makes it easier to cut yourself rather than harder. So I will say, use your own judgment. Certainly if you have a child who is mindful and dexterous and they are supervised, and this is a supervised activity, then it is possible to work perfectly safely as long as you are working carefully and mindfully without a glove. If you have one that fits well, then use it. If not, don't worry too much. You can work safely without it. So the next thing we want to talk about is how we sit and how we work. And in order to do that, I'm going to direct your attention this way to my colleague Zach, who is waiting here to help me with the demonstration. Now, you will see to start with that he is sat securely with his feet flat on the floor, and also that he can reach his arms out, and he has got clear space all around him. So nobody will be able to venture into that area, because if they do, they are likely, if he's holding a knife or a potato peeler and he makes a wild cut, they would be quite likely to be hurt. That area is what we know as the
blood bubble.
The blood bubble. And once you hand the tool, the potato peeler in this instance, hilt first, you will notice, to Zach, he's now got responsibility for that blood bubble. Anybody comes into that area, he has to stop work and he has to point his peeler to the ground and then remind them that they're in danger and ask them to leave his working area. I'm going to hand him his stick, and we are now going to talk about where to work. The most important thing to avoid is working between your legs, because there are a couple of major blood vessels there, and although you would be hard pressed to injure yourself with a potato peeler, it is foolish to pick up bad habits, because you'll then probably end up doing something dangerous when you are working with a tool that could hurt you. So the two ways that it is safe to work is either take your elbows and put them on your knees and lean forwards, and you can then work downwards towards the ground, or you can work from one side or another depending on what your dominant hand is. And you'll notice as Zach actually starts to whittle that gradually he will work his way up towards his hand. Now, the temptation is just to move your hand up the wood and keep going, but that's not the right way to do it. What you must do when you get close to your own fingers is stop, turn the wood around, and then work on the other end so you can keep working away from yourself. Now you'll notice that he keeps his stick pointed towards the ground, so that means that his strokes as he follows through go towards the ground. Were he to angle his stick upwards and then make a stroke, you would see that potentially the stroke goes up into the air where it could hit somebody. I think that's all there is to say. You come back to me now. Other than that, you're probably going to make a lot of mess. When your children are finished with their potato peelers, they need to hand them back to you, hilt first. You can then put them in the dishwasher and put them back in the drawer, or you can get them to put them in the dishwasher and put them back in the drawer. Be aware you're probably going to make quite a lot of shavings. It is a curiously addictive, even obsessive activity. It is quite likely that your children are going to want to sharpen the end of a stick to make a pointy stick, which is perfectly fine and lots of fun. In fact, they were pretty much made a tent peg then, but bear in mind that if they do that, they've made something which is probably just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than the potato peeler that we've been taking such care with. So don't let them run with pointy sticks or indeed stab each other, and we will see you next time.